Starting off, obviously, unfortunately, with the club having to release a very short statement last night about a potential breach of COVID regulations with some of our players. Obviously, don't want to say too much because we don't know exactly what happened, but is it just disappointing that after it happened once that it's happening again potentially, Scott? Cameron?
Aye, it's as I say, the rumour had appeared early doors yesterday, but as the day had went on, I had thought it had just been one of those stories that had been put out by the other side of the city. It's just disappointing, you know. I mean, it's the players' discipline all through this has been really, really good, and it's obviously it's a challenge. It's a challenge for everybody, but I just think to get within touching distance of a league title, you know, the manager must be battling his head. You know, he doesn't want any off the field distractions, and I just think it's something that we could have been doing without.
Scott Kennedy, what about yourself?
Yeah, disappointing. It just feels completely unnecessary, doesn't it? It just, repeating what everyone else is saying. Everyone's going through the same kind of stuff, and it's actually it's even more so disappointing because these are kids and guys allegedly. I think we should add allegedly that spend every day with each other anyway. So to not have the restraint to do something over Zoom in the evening, again, it's like we don't know the exact information as yet. I'm sure that will come out in due course, but it's disappointing to have the rumours. There's obviously some substance to that because otherwise Rangers wouldn't have put out a very short, snappy statement. And quite frankly, it's the last thing that we need.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even just kind of looking at it from a different angle, obviously it looks like this happened after the game at the weekend. Is it disappointing that, you know, after we get that win, which was a big one at the end of the day for us, something that we obviously badly needed, is it, you know, kind of one of those things that we didn't need any bad news on the back of that, and that's what's obviously come out in the last 24 hours?
Yeah, I mean, as Cammy says, it's the last thing we really need. You know, we're as a football club, we're in quite a good place just now. We're four games away from going back to where we belong, and then this rumour starts, and I was the same as Cammy. I saw the rumour yesterday morning and thought no more of it because it just seemed to die away. And my thinking with things like that is if there's any truth in it, somebody from a media outlet will grab it by lunchtime and it'll be all over the place, and there was nothing. And then all of a sudden it started kind of growing arms and legs as the afternoon drew into the evening. Then Rangers put their statement out, and the fact that Rangers have put out a statement tells me there must be something in it. But I don't really want to comment any more than that because I've got no reason to disbelieve what I've been told. But I don't know if it's true, and the club will hopefully come out in the next few hours and tell us whether it is, because if the rumours are to be believed, then we'll have to make a statement, I reckon, within the next few hours as you're listening to this on Tuesday morning, because it could inflict on the travelling party going to Antwerp.
Yeah, look, I think that's one of the things I was just about to kind of comment on next. Obviously, if the worst comes to the worst, then players need to isolate, then it obviously affects, you know, the group that heads over to Belgium and the team that will probably play in the return leg as well as the league game as well. Is it frustrating that when we've been doing so well and things have been going so well kind of on and off the pitch to an extent, that this kind of news about players kind of doing something like this just affects the squad as a whole, and it obviously affects the manager's options when it comes to the weekend, Cammy?
I mean, I think more if the names that have been mentioned, you know, I think they are your cover for your fullbacks, for example. You know, I mean, if anything was to happen on Thursday night to either of them, you're up against it at the weekend, sort of thing. You know, and I think those players would get opportunities between now and the end of the season. So I think it's if it's all confirmed as appears likely, you're not going to see any of the younger players for the rest of the season now.
Yeah, look, I think that's just an attachment, isn't it? I mean, obviously we're obviously talking about isolating, but that doesn't include potentially the SFA getting involved in banning players for quite a substantial period of time, which just puts more pressure on the players that we've already got in those positions. Just kind of moving away from it slightly, Scott, you know, the manager's obviously been quite kind of strict, you know, this year in terms of discipline and a lot of things that's been happening. Is this just the sort of thing that makes things more difficult for the rest of the players because this has happened?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it shines an unnecessary spotlight onto the players. And I think when you look back towards the middle part of last season, Christmas, we had a lot of spotlight on us. And I think that actually showed in the performances, eventually just like dragging us down. I think we've actually got to draw a bit of perspective into, you know, what's happened, because we still don't know the facts. We still don't really know what has happened to the extent of what has happened or who it's involved. There's a lot of rumours, and we can talk allegedly this and allegedly that. But for all intents and purposes, let's just say the rumours are true, is what we know. There's already a precedent set how to deal with it. I think, again, go rumours, if it has transpired that what has happened, the Rangers have dealt with it correctly, best they can. They've minimised exposure. They've done all the protocols. You know, without trying to right or wrong, again, the bubbles of the players that are involved, there's no mixing external people within those bubbles. So again, that's a mitigating factor. I think it's just really, really disappointing that it's just really, again, as you touched already, just brought a spotlight onto the team unnecessarily, particularly when there's so much other noise going on. We're coming up to a crucial part of the season because A, we can wrap up the league, B, we're approaching Europe, and C, for the players involved, you know, they've just shot themselves in the foot. Now, I don't think anyone's going to be shown the door on the back of this, but, you know, they've scuppered the chance of A, picking up a winner's medal, potentially, at the end of the season, and getting valuable minutes. I mean, absolute lunacy. I mean, again, I'm saying this, and I'm trying to like hold back quite a lot, because there's no substantial. We don't have the evidence. We don't have anything concrete telling us what has happened has actually happened, but we've got a fair idea.
Yeah,
so that's where we can go on, really. But yeah,
no, I think that's fair, and I think that's, you know, pretty accurate. I mean, at the moment, it is just rumour in terms of what's happened or what they did or who did it. And I think at the moment we've just got to try and be fair that until we know exactly what's happened, and until the club obviously release a fuller statement or evidence of whatever's happened, that the incident, that we try and be as fair as possible to the players. You know, I don't think it needs that, you know, players are sent abuse or like nonsense is sent to people's WhatsApps or whatever, because clearly these things do happen, unfortunately, in the world that we live in. You know, obviously, I think like everybody else, we're a bit frustrated because we felt as though that last time with Jordan and George, that it was a one-off, that it wasn't going to happen again, but it looks as though it possibly has. And I can totally understand, you know, the manager's potential anger towards the players in question. And I think what it will mean now for the rest of the season is there's just no leeway for any of the players. You know, I mean, once is disappointing, twice is beyond what's acceptable at a football club like ours, because, you know, we've obviously really strong traditions and beliefs into how things should be done, and these kind of things happening clearly don't help us at all.